Hey Metal Maniacs, this is Rich from UK Thrasher Solitary, and you're thrashing it up on Dave Softee's Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio.
Alrighty, Metal Maniacs, here we go. Please help me welcome to Metal Messiah Radio, hailing from the UK, from Thrash Metal Band Solitary. Joining us, we have founding member and vocalist and guitarist Richard Sherrington.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's great to have you here on the Metal Meltdown. How are you doing out there, especially since we have this ongoing COVID pandemic? How have you been out there coping with this?
Well, I think it's been difficult. I think it's been difficult for everybody, but I suppose you've got to put it into context, really. You know, it's inconvenient more than difficult, I suppose. It stopped us doing some of the things we wanted to do in terms of, you know, live shows, etc. But, you know, it could be much worse. You know, we could be in the middle of a world war or something like that and being shot at. So, you know, it's only a year that we've kind of missed out. But in reality, you know, it's not impacted us too badly, really. You know, we've still managed to get an album out and, you know, do lots of interviews and a couple of promo videos and stuff. So yeah, we're in a pretty good place considering the global pandemic that we're facing
Thank
at the
goodness
moment.
you're healthy out there. And this is kind of like a world war, but it's like a chemical world war. It's not versus any nation. It's against this really bad pandemic. So I can only say I hope we all survive. But getting back to your offering, I want to congratulate you on Solitary's brand offering, The Truth Behind the Lies. This is released on Metalville back in October 23rd. This came out. I have to say, outstanding job on this latest offering. It is a kick-ass thrash masterpiece.
Oh, thank you.
How did you get connected with Metalville?
Well, we've got a management company in the UK called Imperative PR. So we recorded the album the back end of 2019 and early 2020. So it was the full product, and then basically they just sort of shipped it around a few labels looking for somebody to release it, and Metalville were one of the first labels we contacted. They were on our shortlist really of people that we wanted to hopefully, you know, get offered a deal with, and luckily enough for us, they came back and they were really keen. You know, they liked the album, they liked what we were about. So they dropped us a contract, so we subsequently signed that, and then lo and behold, you know, they put it out for us. So yeah,
they're a relatively new label to me, but my dealings with their promo guy Nathan Burke has been really outstanding. And from what I've heard of the promos I've gotten, the bands that they have on their label really good, including yours. So I think it's a really good situation.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for us because they're more than just a label. They kind of, you know, they can help with live shows and other things as well. You know, so nowadays record labels aren't what they were really. You know, you'll get some that will just kind of, you know, license the album. You know, you record it yourself, they'll put it out, and they'll, you know, give you a few hundred copies of a CD, and that's all you really hear from them. But the thing is with Metalville, you know, they've sort of really bought into it. You know, they're very much into the band, and they've done a lot for us. You know, they sorted out the promo videos, and also, you know, lots of advertising, that kind of thing. You know, which is new for us. You know, previously we've always been on small independents where basically we've had to foot most of the bills ourselves. So it's great to be in this position. You know, but I think they've been around for a few years. I know that they've released, they've got a good sort of thrash roster, but then they've also released some really big bands like Ugly Kid Joe and a few other, Lee Aaron as well. You know, so there's like a glam edge as well that they've done. So you know, they're a good label to be on. They're definitely a big step up.
That's great to hear, and very refreshing that they're actually working with you as far as shows and stuff like this. Because as you said, pretty much if a label is not doing much for you, you can pretty much just self-release it yourself and just do everything yourself, because that's what a lot of bands do. But it's good to know that they're doing good stuff for you. I'm really happy to hear that. So let's learn all we can about Solitary. I see that the band has formed since 1994. I was not aware about that. And this is your fifth full offering. So again, congratulations on The Truth Behind the Lies. So the band's been around for over 20 years. And the lineup, has it been the same throughout this time, or?
Pretty much. I mean, not since 1994. Really, you know, I suppose myself, Roy, who plays drums, and Andy, we've been together since probably 1999, something like that. And then Gareth, the bass player, he played on our first album, Nothing Changes. He was with us for 2 or 3 years and then moved away with work, and then he rejoined in 2018, back end of 2018. So it's really good to have Gareth back in. So technically, you could say that, you know, probably we've been together as a band for over 20 years. You know, the four of us is just in gathered a bit of a break, really.
I see. Well, let's learn all we can about this particular offering. I really want to know all about behind the scenes of The Truth Behind the Lies. As I said, it's really a kick-ass offering. Okay. Where was this recorded? Where was this mixed, mastered, and produced?
Well, yeah, well, we've got our own recording studio where we rehearse. You know, we built a small recording studio back in 2013. So what we did, we recorded the drums there and tracked the guitars as well, and then we mixed it, and I recorded the vocals at Fold Studios, which is in Wales, in a residential studio with Simon Effamy, who's, he's recorded loads of bands, Napalm Death, Paradise Lost, all these other big, massive metal bands of the 90s as well. So we did it there, and took about, I think we started the drums in October, and then the guitars, etc., were done in November time, and then I did the vocals in January, and Simon mixed it the back end of January. So we had the finished product in early February, and as I mentioned before, Chris and Paul from Imperative, they sort of shipped it around, and then I think by the end of early March, Metalville came back and said that they were keen to put it out. So it's been I think we started writing it, I'd have said sort of midway through 2018, something like that. That's when we started getting the ideas together for it. So it's been a fairly quick album for us. Normally it takes us a good 5 or 6 years to write new material for another album, but we've turned this one around pretty quick. I think the Diseased Heart Society came out in 2017. So since then, we've been hard at it.
So you pretty much had this offering pretty much ready way before the pandemic got here. So that you lucked out with, because that might have slowed it down for you a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the only impact that we've really faced is shooting the videos. Obviously, we because of the pandemic, we can't rehearse or anything like that. So sort of from March, the UK went into lockdown. So we basically stopped rehearsing kind of midway through March, and then lockdown was lifted. I think in June or late June or July. So we were back in our real unit then, and we had a couple of months really before we went back into local lockdown in September. So really this year we've only kind of probably had about 7 or 8 rehearsals, something like that, but we were planning to shoot another video for the second track off the album, The Dark, the Resilient, in October, but obviously that's been put on hold, unfortunately. So we were hoping to have that out before Christmas, but that's not going to happen now. So it'll have to be next year.
We should best with that. And could you share with us how the tunes all came together, as far as who was responsible for writing the music and the words?
I write all the lyrics for the songs, so that's my responsibility. And then sort of musically, it's kind of split half and half really between myself and Andy. We kind of come up with the riffs, and then we'll sort of structure a song from that point onwards really. So Andy, what he tends to do is he'll go away and he'll kind of construct, maybe 2/3 of the song or half the song, something like that. He'll come up with an intro, maybe a verse, and what he thinks is a chorus, and then he'll be using like Easy Drummer to do that kind of thing. So he'll have a beat and he'll play the riff to that. Whereas I tend to work more with Royston, the drummer, and we'll kind of go down to the unit. I'll have an idea, and then we'll work on that together, almost like Hetfield and Ulrich, really. So we kind of have that approach. So the Andy's is very, when we get an idea from Andy, it's very precise, it's very measured, it's well recorded. When me and Roy come up with something, it's quite crude, and there's a vibe there really, and then it's a case of sort of going away and tightening it up and everything. So that's how we tend to work.
Kudos to you, because it really works. I'm enjoying the sound very much.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. You get different shades because we write different things. Previously what we used to do was just stand in the rehearsal room trying to come up with ideas for songs, and that's why it's taken us 5 or 6 years to record albums, write and record albums previously. So this time around, we knew we had to do things differently, so we kind of embraced the technology as well. But I'd say I think everything's quite spontaneous, when it comes to writing songs. But then we've been quite lucky this time. A lot of the time, you get stuck on bits. You might get up to a middle 8, and then you just be stuck. But we didn't have that problem this time. I think we've been quite lucky. But lyric wise, words wise, lyric wise, that's always a bit of a challenge. That because we tend to write the music, and then it's my job to sort of go away and fit something over the top of it, bearing in mind that I'm playing as well. So it's it can be quite difficult. And there's a lot of the time where I'll write something and we'll stick with it for a while, and then suddenly I'll just not like it and have to scrap it and start again, So, but we tend to find that when that happens, that generally produces the better songs on the album, So the first track off the album, I Will Not Tolerate, I had a different set of lyrics for that. That I was convinced were the right ones. And then when we were in pre-production with Simon, which was like a remote pre-production, really, we were doing the demos and I was emailing him the tracks over. I'd done the vocals for it on the demo for I Will Not Tolerate, and I said to him, "What do you think of this?" And he just replied back to the drawing board. So basically, I scrapped the lyrics for that and then rewrote them. Probably about 4 weeks before we were due to go in the studio. So it was a different process for us this time around, because previously we've always kind of like written the songs and then maybe gone out and played live. But this time we were sort of writing them as songs, and the first time we probably, played them in full was after we'd recorded the album, which was a bit strange, really, but just the way it worked this time. But it's worked out all right.
It's quite interesting, and I'm glad that it is working out for you. And it might take a while, but do what you do. You're doing it the right way. It sounds great, and so it takes maybe some time to get this music out there. But I'm sure with the way things are going in the world these days, I'm sure for your next offering, you'll find a lot of things to write about.
Yeah, potentially. I'm sort of thinking about it now. Because I want to do something different lyrically next time around. Because I think this one was quite a bitter album, really, in terms of the lyrical content. It wasn't written from a personal perspective, really, but it's quite aggressive in terms of the subjects and the way that the words are written, really. And I think next time I want to try something different. So I'm sort of thinking about things I want to write about, but I definitely won't be writing about pandemics and viruses, that kind of thing. I think everybody would be sick of that now.
I don't know, but all I know is this is really great, and aggression is what we're all about. Thrash metal has to have aggression and aggressive lyrics. I love that combination, so you did a great job here.
Thank you. I mean, they'll still be aggressive, but I think maybe from a different perspective. But I think we'll be stacked out with songs about COVID,
right,
etc. So I think I'll dodge that.
It might be good for I follow you. I understand, but it might be good for inspiration, But I understand where you're coming from. So let's talk about the imagery of the CD. The CD cover is quite colorful. This image, who is responsible for the artwork and the band logo?
Well, the logo was done probably about 8 or 9 years ago. I can't even remember the name of the artist who did that, but the album artwork is done by a guy called Coot, who did a lot of albums in the 90s for bands like Motorhead, not Motorhead, Saxon, The Almighty. I don't know whether you remember those from the UK. He did some other things as well, like The Exploited, the punk band. So he's got a very distinctive style, and we wanted to go slightly different with this album and take a step back more to the traditional kind of artwork, really, because everything is now done in Photoshop and it's all digital. But Coot's a proper artist, so he's basically airbrushed the artwork for this album. So I coaxed him out of retirement to do it. So I managed to look him up on Facebook, and I basically got in touch with him and said, do you still do album covers, etc.? And he said, well, no, I'm retired now. He said, I still paint, and if I'm into what the music and what's going on, really, I will do something. So I told him the story about the band, that we've been going for a number of years, etc. And I sent him the albums and everything, and he loved what we'd done. So he just said, yeah, I'd be happy to, do some art, a piece of art for you. So he basically he's done two things for us so far. We did an EP for our 20th anniversary last year called XXV. So he created that artwork, which was like a shield, if you will, which kind of incorporated the original chaos symbol that we used to have, and then the heart for the last album, the Diseased Art Society. And then with this one, basically all I did was send him the lyrics that I had at the point when he was composing the artwork and a few demos of the tracks off the album, and he basically listened to that, and it sort of inspired him. He wrote down loads of different lyrics and ideas, and then he came up with this mirror that had been smashed, and then an eye that's looking out to kind of observe the world, really. And I think it works really, really well. It's definitely gone down well. A lot of people have commented about how good the cover art is. So yeah, we're happy with it. It's just difficult to produce T-shirts and merchandise with it, really, because it's a solid, it's a piece of art that's it's not layered, so you can't remove colours.
And it almost has like a three-dimensional look to it when you're looking at the cover. It really pops.
Yeah. Well, what he did when he was doing the artwork, he actually modelled the eye. He actually created a model of an eye, so he could get the shading right, etc. It's incredible. Every time you look at it, you kind of look at the eye itself and you think it's real, but it's not. It's phenomenal. He's got a long way to go to beat that one, I think.
Yeah, but he did a great job in this one, and that's really good. So it'd be nice to see him do other arts of work for you as well in the future. That would be really good. Yeah.
I mean, we'll continue to work with him. We've got, we've kind of got a team of people around us now. We've got obviously our managers and our agents, etc. But then Metalville and then Simon Effermy producing us, and then Coot doing the artwork. It's a good setup for us.
That's a good situation, and I assume due to this COVID, that being out there to perform in support of this offering really hasn't been the case. So when and where do you think this will be possible?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I think it all stems around when there's a vaccine or some kind of setup or whatever that allows people to go back to live shows, etc. I still think it's going to be really, really difficult. So I did actually say a few weeks ago, I said I can see us not actually doing any live shows for this album, in terms of promoting it. I think by the time it sort of all calms down, which is probably not going to be next year, probably the year after, we'll be looking at putting another album out there. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's just the way that things go. So in terms of promoting it, the other way we can do it is, speak guys like yourself and getting radio interviews, etc., magazine interviews, and then also, promo videos and just doing what we can, really. So, I mean, the good thing is everybody's in the same position. So, nobody's got a leg up, if you will, and has the advantage of being able to go and do a 50-day world tour in the same position. So, just got to do what you can, really.
It's true, and there is a glimmer of hope that around April, this vaccine that I've been hearing about in the news might be out there and distributed. So we're hoping that by 2021 we'll be able to see live shows. So I hope, if not sooner, but I hope by 2021 this is possible.
Yeah, I hope you're right. We're quite lucky because everything that we got booked for this year has been moved to next year. So we've got a few things in the pipeline. But obviously, our main aim is really to get back out to Europe, etc. We can always book shows in the UK, but I think getting back out to Europe is probably where it's at. Having a label in Germany now, that's a good market for us to go out there and perform to, really. So that's what we intend to do. I think the other challenge is as well, because of all the venues have been closed, it's whether or not they can still exist, really, because UK venues, the smaller ones, it was a kind of hand-to-mouth existence. They were only a couple of bad weekends away from folding. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a different landscape.
That remains to be seen, right? So one of the most important situations with doing these interviews is to help promote and support the bands by informing the fans how they can support the bands and talking about merch. So let's talk about merch. Let's give some links for Solitary, like your Bandcamp is solitary94.bandcamp.com. Your Facebook is facebook.com/official.solitary. Then you have your website. Yep. You have a shop link on the website, solitary.org.uk. Of these links, yes, you say they're all equally as good for the fans to get merch, or do you have one link that you think is the best?
The website is the best one. If you go to the website, solitary.org.uk/shop, that's where all our merch is available. Hoodies, t-shirts, shorts, beanie hats, patches, zipped hoodies, t-shirts, everything, albums, CDs, LPs, well, vinyl. It's not LP anymore, is it? It's a vinyl. That's what everybody calls it. Yeah, so Yeah, yeah. So that, and then obviously, it's available from places like the album's available on Amazon, etc. It's
It's
all over.
refreshing to see that you have a really good website and a lot of merch for the fans. So this is very nice to see because, in my experience, it's always a work in progress, and so it's good to see that everything is really in place for you as far as that's concerned. So congratulations on that as well. And
Thank
let's
you.
talk about videos. I noticed that Solitary has a couple of videos out there, Abominate and I Will Not Tolerate. What can we learn about these videos as far as who created, directed, and edited? And after we talk about these videos, I haven't noticed any other videos, but does Solitary plan on making any more music videos for The Truth Behind the Lies?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Abominable with the lyric video was done by a guy in the Netherlands that Metalville contacted. So what he's done, he's taken the footage that we had from our Bloodstock open air performance last summer, and basically what he's done, he's used some of the artwork from the album and some of the sketches that Coot had done, and he did the lyric video for that, and then the I Will Not Tolerate video that was shot by ourselves and edited ourselves as well. So we've kind of done that ourselves. It's our first attempt at producing a music video. So we did that, I think, in August. So yeah, the editing was done by myself, Gaz, and Andy. So that's our first attempt. But yeah, the plan is probably to do another probably two or three
Excellent.
more, videos for the album. There's enough songs on there that kind of strong enough really to have a video accompaniment. So that's the intention. So the next one will be The Art of the Resilient, the second
Very
track.
nice. Thank you for that info. And are you a gearhead? Would you like to talk about your guitars?
I can if you like. Not. I mean, no, I'm not. I'm not really not really massive on
That's
it.
good.
I play. I've got two. I've got two PV Vandenberg guitars, which is the Adrian Vandenberg signature model. He was a guy who was in
Yes.
Whitesnake. So they're fairly old. Those, I think, one's from 1989 and the other one's from 1991. And then sort of amp wise, myself and Andy's Engel heads, and then Marshall cabs as well, and we've got Kempers.
Okay.
So, yep, we're all set up. We've got like two setups, if you will. So when it comes to recording, we always use the amps. But when we're playing live, or we're going, when we're playing live, we've got the Kempers, which is great for traveling, etc. We can jump on a plane with them, or jump in a car and not have to take a van to shift all the gear. So it works well for us.
I appreciate you taking the time to even talk about that, especially considering that you're not a gearhead, and it works. So stick with what you have. That's it. You don't need to have brand new stuff to make the sound great. Vandenberg, I remember the band when they had that tune. What was it, Burning Heart or something like that? That's what in the '80s, right? And then I remember him in Whitesnake too. But that was a moment in time. But
yeah.
Richard, is there anything that you'd like to say to your fans that are tuning in at this time that are all around the world?
I just want to thank them for taking time to tune in and have a listen. For buying and supporting us for the last 26 years. Without them, we definitely wouldn't be here doing what we're doing.
Very cool. And I want to thank you very, very much, Richard, for a great interview. It's our first time doing this, and I hope we have many more times to come back and talk about your future releases. I think that we've learned a lot about the band. I really appreciate this opportunity to do so, to learn about Solitary. I think we covered just about everything that we can, but I want to make sure before we go crank up some more Solitary from The Truth Behind the Lies. So that being said, is there anything else that you'd like to get out there to the fans?
I would say that, if you like what you've heard on The Truth Behind the Lies, and it's the first thing you've heard by us, definitely check out our previous releases on the Spotify's and the Apple Music, etc. So you can definitely find us on there. Or come and buy a CD and we'll sign it for you.
I will definitely have to do that. I want to check out your back catalog because I'm really enjoying this offering, and I am not familiar with your previous offerings, so I'm definitely going to do that. And it's good to know that you'll sign the merchandise. That's excellent also. So I want to wish you a great future with Solitary. Let's hope this COVID ends sooner than we think, and you'll be out there to support this by doing live shows. I wish you to have success with that, to sell out your shows, and to keep your music going. And I would like to have you back on the show upon your next release, because you'll always have an open door here at the Metal Meltdown. I really have enjoyed talking with you. Thank you once again for this opportunity. And how about we go crank up some more Solitary? Crank it up loud.
Thanks, man.